Morning, everybody. I'm Paula Huhn with Funding American Mortgage, and today I am honored to be with the amazing Aaron Stallworth of Aaron Stallworth Photography. Aaron is a passionate photographer with over 17 years experience. He specializes in capturing life's most memorable moments through high fashion, beauty, weddings, and more. He is actually known for his creativity, warmth, and dedication to client happiness, and he views photography as not just a career, but a true passion. He's inspired by the uniqueness of people. Aaron strives to redefine art while helping everyone shine brighter. I met Aaron Stallworth a few years ago when he did an event for me and some of my realtor partners. And I wanted to take this opportunity today to get to know him a little bit more and hear his impact on how he can help realtors. So, Aaron, thank you again for coming. I am super excited to have you. We're going to
Thanks,
get
Paul.
right. Yeah, definitely. So we're going to get right into it. For the agents who are on their own, what are some of the advice you can give them in taking good shots of the listings they get? They work so hard, they get the listing, they want it to look good.
Absolutely. One, thanks again for having me today. Definitely an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. For realtors looking to take shots of great listings, the first thing they need to do is not overthink it. Good light, pretty much in photography, based on having light and having good light. So you want to make sure that your listings and your property are in good light. So you want to pick a good time of the day in which to capture your photos. Basically, check out your listings, go inside, see when the light is best throughout the entire house, and that is the time that you want to capture your photos. Also consider that there may be times where the lighting is good on one part of the day comparison to the sun being on one side of the house than it is to another part of the day when the light's on the other side of the house. Those are all things you want to make sure that you're taking in consideration. You want to make sure that the rooms are well lit. If they're not possible of being well lit, you want to provide as much light as humanly possible. A lamp, cutting on the overhead light to ensure that you're allowing enough light into the shot to capture a good, high quality image. These are just the basics of photography, which is all based about light.
Wow, that's awesome. What are you looking for with light? So you say, you have a lot of light, but like as you can see in my background here, right, I have a lot of light. I
You
mean,
have a
like
lot of
so
light.
much light. But like
Right.
if I'm here, if I'm just looking, I'm like, oh, it looks really good to me. But then as soon as I take that picture, it's like, oh, that's glaring.
Let's go
How could
flare.
how could you like fix that? Fix
Pretty much, there are different ways to make adjustments. If you're a new realtor, a lot of times you're basically having your cell phone, and you know that basically cell phone cameras are basically having a huge upgrade over the course of the year. You have the ability to adjust your aperture and your brightness of the shot that you're taking, basically by just setting it on your phone. So I would encourage realtors to basically one know the phone that they're working with, and know if you're not using a phone and using a camera, understand the functions of adjusting the aperture, adjusting the shutter speed, adjusting the ISO on that camera so that you can capture a good picture. Sometimes setting the camera to auto doesn't always give you the result that you're looking for, and it requires basically a basic understanding of what photographers call the trinity of photography: ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. Those are the things that really are taken into consideration. And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask a good photographer friend for a little bit of advice to that as well too. I built my business on helping others be successful. There's no thing to basically help explain what settings you would probably need to do to adjust for the amount of light. In this particular case here, you probably want a slower shutter speed because there's a lot of light already coming to the camera based on what it is in there now. A slower shutter speed, a slightly higher aperture, and not a so high ISO because of the abundance of light. For a room that may not have a lot of light, it's complete opposite. A lower aperture, a slower shutter speed, and a lower and a little bit higher ISO will now basically now make the adjustment to allow more light to come into a camera to capture a better shot.
That sounds so technical.
That,
But I know I think a
yeah,
lot of you get your phone and you're like, oh great, I'm gonna do all this fun stuff. And it is, sometimes it's misleading. You see the commercials and stuff when you get your phone, whether regardless of the type of phone you get, it's like, oh, they make amazing shots, and you get it and you're like, huh,
right,
that's
exactly.
what I thought. Interesting.
And
Mhm.
it's more so being willing to not basically take the first shot as it is and go to the next. It does require a little bit of trial and error. Basically, some people don't always have the ability to understand the technicality of those three things. Be willing to take the time to capture good photos. Be willing to think through what your settings need to be willing to think through what adjustments you need to make in terms of the camera in order to capture a good shot, and give yourself grace and making those mistakes and seeing what's wrong.
I've seen pictures of listings. Obviously, that's something I do. So there are times when, yeah, I am looking at them and I look at these pictures and I know they're meaning well. I know they mean so well. But how do you fix a mess? Right? If it's not a fixable mess, how do we clean that up? How can we make that still look attractive in a photo? Or can
You
we?
make you make it look attractive by basically removing distractions. Remove anything that would distract the eye from the general gist of the room. You want to be willing to make sure that there are no general broad distractions in the shot that you're taking. Also, angle. You don't want to shoot high down into the room. You want to probably shoot a little bit lower than what you normally would to get a good general angle of spread of the room. Particularly having corners of the room directly pinpointed in the frame in a place where you can now see get a general idea of what the listing looks like without being distracted by different things. Also, have a general cleaning company come in and do a little touch and refresh for you. Don't shoot a photo of a listing until you are absolutely sure it looks the way it should before you're posting it online. Hire a cleaning company. Have them come in, dust up, straighten up, remove clutter, remove trash, get rid of all those things as much as humanly possible before the listing is actually photographed. If there's still work to be done, at least wait till the work is finished so that you get an accurate description of what the listing is going to look like when it's finished. And people are not wondering in the back of my head, I wonder what it's going to look like after the XYZ construction is done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is a lot of take your time, like not rush it. And I think that's really good advice because we're all human and we're excited, especially you get a listing. And if you're new, maybe this is your first listing, you're going to want to get it on there just to show everybody, to have the Facebook posts and things like that. Which is fantastic. And I love that enthusiasm, but I think you're right. Taking that time to really look at each room. One of the things I can't believe you said that the angling down. I think we're so used to I do it because
It's not
it's here.
exactly. Everyone thinking, angling down, trying to shoot down into a room. It doesn't give people a clear perspective on what they would look at if they were walking into the room.
Does it make it look smaller or overly large?
It's probably overly large, and then when you're
Mhm,
walking into the place, you're like, "Wait a minute, hold up, I didn't think this was what I was looking for." It's misperception. You wanna
mhm.
try to be as realistic as you can with your listing. I mean, I'm 5'8", so I'm fortunate enough, I'm not 6 feet yet, but, even if I have to raise just a little bit, I'm just raising a little bit to be at a 6-foot perspective of what the room would look like, or just slightly lower, probably about 5'5", you know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
just all about the angles and positionings of your shot.
That is interesting. So, how do you feel about tripods?
I feel tripods can be an extremely huge help, especially in low light situations when you need basically to have the camera steady for a certain amount of time while you're taking that longer exposure shot. A tripod can also help you keep the angle that you want consistent throughout the entire property. Once your tripod is set, you're now shooting every room at the exact same height based on that tripod setting, which should assist you pretty much well. So, I mean, if you have a good tripod, it definitely does aid and make your life and process a lot easier.
These are really, really good tips. What about like small bathrooms? Because sometimes you
Mm.
can't avoid it. What would you
Can't
do in a
avoid it.
tiny bathroom?
And pretty much you have to be willing to get a couple different shots to encompass shooting a small bathroom. You can't expect to shoot a small bathroom in one shot. It's just not going to happen. You're going to have to be willing to adjust them angles, use the big viewfinder in the back of cameras, trial and error, take your time, see what the angles are in the bathroom. If the angle of the tub, the full tub may require you to step in just a little bit, get a shot of the full tub, and then basically actually take your shoes off, step into the tub to get a shot of the rest of the bathroom, leave the mirror in the sink, so you can angle it that way. You can't go in with the mentality of, okay, I'm getting this bathroom in one shot and that's it. You have to be willing to paint the picture, tell the story of the bathroom by getting it in a couple of different positions. make sure that you're telling the story of the entire bathroom. You don't never want to misrepresentate the bathroom, let me tell you, because people want it. If people think it's a big bathroom, they're gonna want to know it's a big bathroom.
Right. And likewise, and just because it's small doesn't mean it's bad.
Correct.
You're right. You want to represent each room properly. You're going to get a lot of people to view it, but no one wants to put in an offer because it's not what they thought it was. That's not helpful either when you're listing a property.
No, not at all.
Let's kind of move into the outside property, right? Because that's typically your headshot of a property, right?
Correct.
That's what you post. What advice can you give on photographing outdoors and photographing the exterior of the house?
Make sure all of your stuff is clean, tidy, and ready to go. Have your landscapers come in, have your window washers come in. If you haven't had a fresh paint or anything else like that, you definitely want to make sure that all of those things have been updated before looking to capture shot. Unless it's a fix me up or unless you want to give the expectation of, okay, listen, you're coming in and doing a lot of work when you're selling this. You also want to make sure, again, time of day. When do you want to capture this photo? Definitely don't want to capture the sunrise when the sun is beaming on the house at one point in time. And you also don't want to be mindful of the sun being too high in the sky because it's not giving the good enough light to shat down because the higher the sun, the more shadows it casts shooting down. So always look at a good optimal time of day and which to capture the photos. You always want to make sure that you're definitely moving around, telling the story of the entire outside of the house. People want to know what they're getting when they see the photos. And again, it may require two different times of the day to capture two different sides, depending on how the sun is falling on the house as well.
That is awesome. Any final words you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I just want to say one, thank you for again having me today. It's definitely been a pleasure sharing tips and advice for different realtors. I always encourage realtors, to have a current application headshot so people when they're encountering you and they're looking on their website. If you have not had a chance to update your website in the last year or so, you've changed your hair, you've lost weight, you've gained weight, you've done different things. This is definitely a prime time to get your headshot updated and don't be afraid of basically trying to invest in that headshot. Because we have, again, AI using a lot of people, you'll be generating a lot of AI generated headshots, but it's not a true representation of who you are. I always encourage people to say, listen, make sure your headshot shows who you are authentically every single time. And that's always
It's
good.
just like you said, like, it's just what you were saying about like presenting the house. You want to present yourself just the same way you're going to present your
It's the
house.
same way people can appreciate the realness of a house as much as they can appreciate the realness of who they're going to be dealing with when they're potentially selling and buying their next house.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, if a realtor wants to get in touch with you, maybe they have questions, maybe they want to hire you, what's the best way to reach out?
Basically my phone number, 215-681-8761. You can actually call and leave a message there. I have an inquiry form on my website, www.aaronstallworthphotography.com, and also have email contacts as well there too. Basically, any one of those ways are great ways to reach out to me, be able to answer any other questions you may have. And my Instagram, Aaron D.A. Photog, Photog. You can connect with me on Instagram as well too, as well as Facebook and TikTok.
Guys, well, again, thank you for taking the time. You really shone the light on the reality of how to take a good picture. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you want to learn more about different ways to help your real estate business grow. Aaron, you've been amazing, as always.
Appreciate
Thank
y'all.
you.